Say those words and everything the officer wanted to get from you in the next 20 minutes. Look, mind if I plug in real quick and check the diagnostics? Do me a favor and unlock your phone for a second. They cooperate. They shrug. They say, sure, no problem. I have got nothing to hide. Because that is exactly what your father told you and what every driver education teacher told you and what television has told you for 40 years. It is the single most expensive sentence in modern American driving. I am not going to make you wait for the words. You get them first in about 30 seconds. Then I am going to prove every single clause with the actual Supreme Court case behind it. Then the trap they set to get you to talk anyway. Then the 4 things the officer will say next to shake you off the line. And then the one mistake at the end that undoes every word you just said. Before we get back to it, 30 seconds. Almost nobody talks the way out of a case. People talk their way in. I'm Marcus Reed, 8 years an Army JAG officer, 6 a federal prosecutor, and now I defend the people who made that one mistake. I've seen this system from all 3 chairs, so I wrote it down. The encounter, 189 pages on exactly what to say when police stop you, with the real Supreme Court decisions behind them, so you can check me. $37, 7-day guarantee, links below. All right, back to it. Here are the words. Memorize them, word for word. Officer, am I being detained or am I free to go? I do not consent to any search of my car, my phone, or the data inside either one. I am going to remain silent and I want a lawyer. That is it. That is the line. 4 sentences, under 12 seconds. Say those exact words in that exact order, and the black box under your dash stops being a free gift. It starts being something a judge has to sign off on. Say those words, and the recording in your infotainment console needs a warrant. Say those words, and everything the officer wanted to get from you in the next 20 minutes now has to be fought for in a courtroom. But how you say it matters as much as what you say. Firm, polite, recorded, hands on the steering wheel where he can see them. No arguing, no lecturing, no, you cannot do that to me. You are not there to win the roadside. You are there to say 4 sentences into his body camera, so calm and so clean that when the video plays back at a suppression hearing, the judge sees a citizen who knew his rights and an officer who kept pushing. Firm, polite, recorded. But here's what should keep you honest. I have watched people say every single one of those words perfectly on camera and still hand the entire case over because of one sentence that came 30 seconds later. One sentence that voided everything they just invoked. That mistake, the one that undoes every word you just heard, is at the end of this. First, I'm going to show you exactly why every word of that phrase forces the officer hand. The 4th Amendment says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. That word effects covers your car and everything inside it. Every clause you just memorized is built on that one sentence. The word detained is not decorative. In Terry v. Ohio, 1968, the Supreme Court held that when an officer stops you and you are not free to walk away, that is a seizure. A seizure requires reasonable, articulable suspicion the officer can name out loud. Not a hunch, not a feeling, a reason. That is the foundation of every traffic stop in this country. Then, in Pennsylvania versus Mims, 1977, the court held that during a lawful stop, the officer can order you out of the car. But that is the ceiling of what he gets for free. Everything beyond it, he has to earn. When you ask if you are being detained or if you are free to go, you are handing the officer a binary. He either says you are free and every second he holds you after is unlawful, or he admits a detention, which puts a clock on him. Because in Rodriguez versus United States 2015, the court ruled he cannot extend that stop 1 minute beyond its original mission to go fishing in your car data. That clause shuts the door on how long he can hold you. The next clause shuts the door he walks through most often, the one labeled consent. The word consent is the single most powerful word in 4th Amendment law, and the officer knows it. In Schneckloth versus Bustamante, 1973, the Supreme Court ruled that if you consent to a search, the officer no longer needs a warrant. He does not need probable cause. He does not need reasonable suspicion. He needs nothing. Your yes is the master key. And here's the part the court left in that ruling that should stop your blood. You do not have to know you have the right to refuse for your consent to still count, which means the friendly question about taking a quick look is not a courtesy. It is a legal instrument designed to make you volunteer away the strongest protection you have. When you say you do not consent, the master key breaks. Now, to go into your glove box, into your trunk, into your center console, he needs one of two things. He needs probable cause he can articulate to a judge, or a warrant signed by that judge. You have not stopped him from searching. You cannot always stop him from searching, but you have moved the fight from a place where you lose by default to a place where he has to justify every inch. On the record, that handles the physical car. But your car is not just metal anymore. It is a computer with wheels, which brings us to the clause the drafters of the Fourth Amendment could not have imagined. In Riley versus California, 2014, the Supreme Court did something rare and important. It unanimously held that police generally must obtain a warrant before searching the digital contents of a cell phone seized during an arrest. 9 justices, no dissent. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that modern phones are not just another object in your pocket. They are windows into the privacies of life. The same logic runs through every court that has since looked at connected car data. Your infotainment system, your event data recorder, the telematics module logging your GPS pings, your call history, your text metadata, sometimes your contacts synced from the phone you paired 6 months ago. That is the digital storage of your life, riding around in a vehicle. When you say you do not consent to the data inside either one, you are naming the black box in the title of every prosecutor dream case. The one that shows where you were, how fast, when you braked, who called. And you are saying out loud on his body camera that you do not consent to that download. Now, to plug into your port, to pull your infotainment logs, to mirror your phone, he has to convince a judge in writing that he has probable cause, which he usually does not on a routine stop.
We finally moved from California to Maryland, and it was...
I hear that. We're going to do an update on this, and we're going to start getting educated on the law on traffic stops with the law, because it's necessary and it's important. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we wanna really get busy on this and start educating our people. You know what I'm saying? And you know, cause it's necessary and it's important. So we're gonna pause right there. We're gonna just give you 10 minutes, and then we'll be back for another 50 later on. So we'll just chop this up. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're gonna give it to you in splices, so you won't have to digest too much at one time. But did you hear what he said? When an officer come up to you and they when they stop you and ask you for license and registrations, and I guess if they ask you to step out of the car and you ask them, why did you stop me, sir? If you don't mind me asking. And if it's really no valid reason and you just feel like it is something fishy, you could just say into his body cam or turn on your phone and go live. So it can be in the social atmosphere even if they take your phone and smash it, you already recorded in the ecosystem of social media. So, God forbid, when you make it to court, and if you don't, whatever happened to you, nobody going to get away with it. That's my point. And you say to the officer before you get out, sir, am I being detained or can I go free? I do not consent to give you any information in my phone or any information from my vehicle data. That's your right. And you say it into his body cam, hopefully that is on, but you make sure you go live on your phone. So it could be live what you're saying into the viewers, and you keep it running so they can hear everything that's going on. And you let them know, sir, I'm on live on social media. So, so I'm just letting you know that this is being recorded. And once you do that, it's out there. So God gonna take care of the rest. All right, we be back. This your boy Big Dave, Street Finest. You ain't gonna just get entertained. You're not gonna just get the latest gossip. We gonna learn something over here. You feel me? Street Finest, Big Dave. I'ma holler. I'll be back.